All right, so at the moment we're kind of setting things up, and I, funny enough, have a time lapse kind of started over on the side. But yeah, we're about to do a comparison between the Zenfone 9 and the ZV-1f, so there should be a very interesting comparison. All right, so this is going to be an audio sync. There we go, audio should be synced. Hello everyone, hope you all been doing well. So this is going to be the second video that we kind of have for this channel. Still not exactly sure where I really want to take this, but I told myself that I would make another channel, start recording and editing, so here we are. So we have two cameras today. So on my left-hand side, which should be your right, it should be the Zenfone 9. Now this is going to be from the rear or primary camera. And on my right-hand side, your left, that will be the Sony ZV-1f. Now, the ZV-1f is going to be on the ZV scale, I suppose, the lowest end of them. However, I believe that I really enjoy the video quality that it provides. I've been using it for streaming and for other things kind of just around the house. It still picks up so much more light in comparison to a cell phone camera, since the sensor is so small. I still think that for most people at the $500 price point, this is more than enough. Now, another thing that you'll probably notice as well as we kind of switch back and forth for the audio is that on the Zenfone over here, we actually are using the internal audio, which from this distance, a little bit further than arm's length away, it probably sounds very echoey. You probably pick up a lot of background noise. And I'm partially cheating over here, I suppose, but I picked up a new toy, which is going to be my Rode wireless mic. I'm going to be syncing this up with the Sony ZV-1f. Now, of course, you could go ahead and sync up this audio with the Zenfone, and if you're not overly concerned about the video quality, then if audio is your primary thing and you think that the video looks just fine on the Zenfone, then by all means, just go ahead and buy like the wireless mic, and you can sync that up in post if you have the capability of doing so. But so I'm gonna test these cameras in a bit of different settings, kind of like I did with my Pixel video. And so right now we have the window open over on my side here, which you could probably tell is extremely well illuminated. All right, so we're gonna be taking both of these cameras to the park. We have Amy with us today, and let's see how these cameras compare to one another. All right, now this is gonna be a bit weird for me because unfortunately I only have one single tripod. And so we have the ZV-1f in my left hand and the Zenfone in my right, which is actually on the tripod, which hopefully gives it a little bit more wiggle room because I'm able to hold it a little bit further back since it's angled. So we'll actually find out, I suppose, how the 1f goes walking around like this and whatnot. If I look at this correctly, I think it makes me look a little bit more bald or like I'm losing hair on the 1f. What? You laughing at me? Yeah. Apparently, at least when I look at myself on this guy, unless I put it out here, it looks like that my hair is being cut off. But yeah, I guess we'll compare it to the Zenfone. This is out right in front of me, full arm's length. So we'll find out how the stabilization kind of goes. 1f out in front of me, alternating it, trying to have as fair of a comparison as possible. And so now we're back to having them both side by side, and we'll see how everything goes for the colors. Stabilization on both of these cameras at the moment is off, since they both actually apply a decent crop. And this will give you an idea of what they're both look like with stabilization off. Yeah, that sure is a porta potty, all right. There is a dangerous cliff ahead, and I'm actually gonna watch more of my footing. I feel like holding both of these cameras in this way is gonna really mess with me. Now, we have the stabilization on both of the cameras now. And so, we're walking kind of in the same way. I do have them sort of supporting one another in the sense that they are helping to balance this just a little bit extra. Maybe we got you. You're the star of the show. What do you think about that? You don't want to be the star of the show? Oh no. What? That's the star of the show? Maybe that's the actual star of the show. Wow, look at that. And he's happy to see you. Think about that. I think overall you can definitely tell the difference for the stabilization, and it's actually pretty good on both. However, of course, note that both of the devices do have decent crop on them, and so if you're going to be filming in front of you, I think that this does more than enough to be able to stabilize whenever that you're walking. However, if you're going to have this pointed towards you, then that's where you will notice a pretty drastic crop, and you'll have to have the device just so much further out in front of you. Like I said, both of these are kind of supporting one another, but that doesn't fully eliminate the bounce that you kind of get from walking with them. And well, would you look at that? That might be a little slow because I put away the 1F. Oh, so I'm pulling it out right now. Never mind, I was able to get it out in time. Let's zoom in. Right, we were lucky enough to get old Deary boy. He's a young buck. You would say that's a young buck, right? Yeah. And there he goes. All right, on the Zenfone on the tripod right now, which is not necessarily full arm's length. This would be a full arm's length in front of me. This is going to be a low light test. This is going to be a relatively short test, just because I think it's going to be, now this is I think, going to be a little obvious that once you have something like a cell phone in your hands and you're recording in a lot lower light, excuse me, you're just not going to get that great results. And something that I also didn't think about when I was actually at the park was doing a selfie recording to kind of further demonstrate that the crop of the stabilization is actually pretty heavy, and now stabilization is going to be on for the Zenfone. And so this is what I was talking about, that if you're going to be using a phone, most phones I would think, or anything else with the stabilization, keep in mind that if you're shooting yourself and you don't have something like a selfie stick which extends the range of it on you, you're going to need to keep that in mind. And so this is going to be the video on the ZV-1f. It struggles a bit for focusing. However, when you're in a more controlled lower light scenario, so for example, if you are in your house and you're able to not turn on all the lights and you have just like kind of one light illuminating you, then that's where this camera really shines, I think, in comparison to things like cell phone cameras. The stabilization on the 1F is going to be on, and so this should give us a really good idea for what the crop difference is going to be like from the little bit of footage that I had edited, which is practically everything from the park up until this point. The Zenfone actually really did seem to do a lot better for stabilization. And so in most scenarios, I think as long as they're relatively well lit, you could very, very much use the Zenfone to do any sort of vlogging and do any sort of recordings. And 9 times out of 10, you probably should be okay. All right, and so now that we are back home, I think that this is probably the final test where you have a controlled environment with a little bit more dim lighting. And so for example, earlier we had lighting over here to my side, which there is no longer any outside sunlight to be able to come in through the blinds. On my right side, we do have a little bit more illumination, but my guess is that the Zenfone in this exact category is going to struggle a little bit for actually lighting things up in comparison to the Sony ZV-1f. Now, I have not altered any of the video that you have seen before. Everything is just how it is for all of the colors, for all of the lighting, for the focusing, for every single thing that you've seen. And so I wanted to make this as close of a comparison as possible and try to give you as most accurate of an idea for what you kind of can expect from each of the cameras. But I think that's gonna be it for me today, guys. If you did enjoy this video, please make sure to hit the like button and make sure to subscribe for more content. But y'all be easy, I've been straight, y'all been great. Catch you guys in the next video. Peace.